Excellencies, I am pleased to participate in this year's Global Humanitarian Policy Forum. Though I would be engaging in deception if I do not say I wish it was under better circumstances for the humanitarian system, and in particular for those it is intended to serve. Conflicts, the climate crisis, and economic pressures are propelling the most significant global humanitarian crisis in contemporary history. The eruption of multiple deadly conflicts has brought the international humanitarian system to the brink of collapse. Indeed, in Gaza today, there is hardly a safe place for civilians. During the General Assembly informal briefing on the humanitarian situation in the Gaza Strip, we heard that shelters are dangerously overcrowded and, being so, carry a high risk of transmission of communicable diseases. The letter I received last week from the Commissioner General of UNRWA in Gaza describes a very alarming humanitarian situation in the Gaza Strip, warning of its imminent collapse, as well as the probable total collapse of public order. This is highly untenable. Added to these challenges is the fact that humanitarian workers are increasingly under attack, contrary to international law. In the past year, a total of 439 aid workers fell victims to violence in conflict-ridden regions, including South Sudan, Haiti, and Ukraine. In Gaza alone, the UN has lost over 134 of its staff. Let me reiterate once again my call for an immediate humanitarian ceasefire and the need to secure immediate, safe, and unhindered access to humanitarian relief in the Gaza Strip. Excellencies, beyond conflicts, the climate crisis remains a real existential threat to many of the most vulnerable countries. Climate-induced disasters have resulted in forced displacements and increased food insecurity. At COP28, I call for a once-in-a-generation change to deliver promises of adaptation and resilience, and I call for support for those most vulnerable. I reiterate that message here today. Whether discussing climate change or conflict, the truth is that women and children, persons with disabilities, and other vulnerable groups carry a disproportionate burden. We must be agile in responding to their needs. I call for the prevention and an apt response to gender-based violence in humanitarian settings, bearing in mind the increased risks that women face. Excellencies, it is no secret that the chronic lack of resources is hampering the UN's operational ability to deliver humanitarian aid. Close to 300 million people around the world urgently need humanitarian assistance. This year, we have witnessed the worst funding gap in years, with just over 1/3 of the $57 billion required for humanitarian assistance received by the United Nations. We must live up to our collective responsibility to uphold international humanitarian law and humanitarian principles. I am greatly encouraged that it is not beyond us to find efficient and innovative ways to ensure adequate funding for the global humanitarian system. And we must work in partnership and across sectors with a focus on early and preventive action. There are many obstacles and challenges, but we cannot relent in our pursuit to change the status quo that generates strife, displacement, and hardship, and triggers the need for humanitarian intervention. In the words of Myred Corrigan, Nobel Prize laureate, our common humanity is more important than the things that divide us. I thank you.